This is Javier Correa, the Tax Terminator, live from Costa del Este, Panama City. And I want to respond today to one of our clients who had a meeting with earlier today and who point blank asked me, Javier, you got me, all right? I want to move to Latin America, but I still haven't made up my mind. Should I go to Colombia or should I go to Panama? These are two places that you guys talk about on the channel. These are two places where a lot of nomad capitalists are going, but I just don't know which one is the right fit for me. So I'm going to be comparing Bogota, Colombia and Panama City to help you at home decide whether you believe you're a better fit for one city or the other. Panama City. Panama City, as you will see in many of the videos that we have released on the channel, that we will release on the channel, is best equipped for people who really want that North American lifestyle. It's basically a lifestyle that is very similar to Miami, Florida. So if you're looking for the rooftop pools, the mega malls, you want the big SUV lifestyle, the barbecues, the oceanfront living, then definitely Panama City is more for you. Panama is more of a city that I would describe as being in an eternal summer, whereas Bogota is more of a city in an eternal fall. So that brings me to the first major difference, as I've just described. Panama is the sun, the beach, the ocean, the mega malls. Bogota is more laid back. I think Bogota is more of an environment for people who like cooler weather, the sweater weather. In addition to that, Bogota doesn't have that strong mall culture that Panama has. So while Bogota does have very nice malls like Gran Estación and the Andino Mall, it is not the same mall-driven culture that you find here in Panama City. In addition to that, I think that the type of expat and digital nomad you find in one city and the other is relatively different. So, for example, here in Panama City, if you want to network with global tax attorneys, accountants, people in the banking and the insurance industry, people who run hedge funds, this is definitely the place. Bogota, Colombia, I'm not saying you're not going to find those people, but it's not really the vibe that you feel in Bogota, Colombia. When I've been to Bogota, I've mainly met people who are photographers, artists, people who want to fall in love, people who are traveling around more as explorers than actually doing business. Now, obviously, this comparison is not extreme. You find people that are doing very well and they're doing business in Bogota, Colombia, and you also find people who are more of the adventurous type here in Panama City. But I'm talking about globally the general traits you find in one city and in the other. I would also say that here in Panama City, you have more variety when it comes to international schools as an expat, for example. So if you want to have, 7, 10, 11 international schools to choose from for your kids, then definitely Panama City has the advantage there. However, if you're looking more for a place where you're going to mingle more with locals, I think Bogota has got you covered. Here in Panama City, you're going to find a lot of people who are from Europe, from the US, from Canada, and it is easier for you to find yourself in an environment where you're only surrounded by expats. Whereas in Colombia, it is, more the norm to intermix more with the locals. In Panama, you can get by more easily by just speaking English. In Bogota, Colombia, you will ultimately have to learn Spanish to be able to communicate with most people on the street. If you're looking for top-notch banking, I definitely think Panama has an advantage there. Bogota, not really a place that I view as an interesting location for offshore banking. You can have something local if you're going to pay your bills or if you're going to be digital nomading around and you do want some local banking access, but it is not a place where I would store large sums of money, whereas Panama is definitely one of those places. I would also mention that if you're looking for a place where you are essentially going to be interconnected more with the Americas, where you're traveling constantly and you want to hold it as a hub, then I think Panama has a slight advantage. Bogota is also very well connected. El Dorado Airport is an excellent airport to fly out from. But I do think that Tocumen International Airport here in Panama is, friendlier to international travelers. And I do see more people, especially for business, traveling back and forth. The other element I would mention is that the business community is also very different. So in Colombia, when I've met people who are doing business, they are more focused on the local market. Colombians tend to be very inward looking. They focus on Colombia, on Colombian issues, and they're really just bent on developing Colombia. Whereas here in Panama, there are many people who are interested in doing business globally. So I would say Panama is more outward looking, more international, whereas Colombia is more inward looking, more national, more regional looking in many ways. They both have that charm. I think Colombia is a very interesting place if you're looking for investment opportunities, Panama too. But if you're looking for that low cost of living, cheap real estate, then definitely Colombia does have an advantage. Remember, Panama has the US dollar. And as a consequence of that, things are dollarized here, and therefore they're expensive by Latin American standards, still very affordable for North American standards. But obviously you'll find, more, you'll find better deals in Colombia in terms of getting more luxury for a cheaper price in United States dollars. Another issue that many people seem to talk about is safety. And if I'm moving with my family, if I'm moving with a spouse, with kids, which area of Latin America is safer? I think definitely Latin America is not nearly as dangerous as it used to be, in the 90s and in the 80s. But I would say that if safety is a top-notch concern, I would say Panama definitely has an advantage. In Panama, even wealthy individuals do not need bodyguards, you do not need bulletproof vehicles, which is not necessarily the case in other parts of Latin America, including certain areas of Colombia. So I would say that if safety is the major concern, Panama should be your top choice. Also, I would say that if you are one of those expats who wants to get away from it all and you really want to be away from the Western lifestyle. Because remember, we have clients who want something very similar to what they have in the US and Canada, and we have clients who want something radically different. So if you're looking for something different, more authentic, more local, definitely go to Colombia. In Colombia, you're going to have all of the big international brands. We did a video in Colombia, walk around tour, my favorite neighborhood in Colombia, where you have your Carolina Herrera, your Louis Vuitton, all of the big brands, your Starbucks. But at the end of the day, the surrounding culture, the architecture you're going to have around is not as, North American, there aren't as many skyscrapers, the culture is not as, money, let's go, there's blood in the water, go buy, go sell. Whereas here in Panama City, especially here in Costa del Este, the culture is very much Wall Street. It is very much there's blood in the water. Let's buy, Shark Tank, entrepreneurship. So depending on what your vibe is, then definitely either one or the other might be an interesting choice. Now, when it comes to, for example, pet friendliness, I would say that I've seen that both Bogota, Colombia, and Panama City can be dog friendly. However, I would say that in the case of pet friendliness, Panama definitely does have an edge. When you fly into Tocumen International Airport, one of the first things that you see is an ad that says the most pet-friendly airport in the Americas. And as a dog parent myself, I can certify that Tocumen is very dog-friendly. I would say El Dorado is too, to an extent, but Tocumen definitely has an advantage there. And just, living in the city, I would say places like Costa del Este, which is really the most exclusive expat neighborhood in Panama City, is more dog-friendly than the expat neighborhoods I have seen in Bogota, Colombia. Now, that being said, both cities are wonderful. Both cities are fantastic. It literally just depends on where you want to go, what your priorities are. But I hope I've shed a bit of light into the advantages that both one city can provide and the other city can provide so that you at home can choose whether you want to go to Bogota, Colombia, or you want to go to Panama. Or, hey, why not have them both? If you are in a situation where you want to live a trifecta method and you want to be focused on Latin America, and you essentially want to have two home bases in the continent, then maybe, you can combine. You have some time in Panama City, some time in Bogota, Colombia. Obviously, the other thing that, in addition to lifestyle, that would be important to mention is obviously the taxes. So in Bogota, Colombia, if you spend too much time there as a resident, or if you gain citizenship and you become tax resident, then the situation starts to be a bit unpleasant. Colombia has a wealth tax, Colombia has an inheritance tax, and Colombia taxes worldwide income. Whereas Panama has a territorial tax system. Your foreign source income is completely tax-free. There is no inheritance tax, there is no gift tax, and there is no wealth tax. So if tax optimization is definitely your goal, Panama does have a major advantage there. So if you want to know more about Bogota, Colombia, Panama City, or any other major city in Latin America that you might want to move to or you might want to invest in, be sure to hit that subscribe button, follow us on Instagram, drop a comment down below, and until I see you in the next video, this is the Tax Terminator, signing off from Panama City.